I've talked about this with Michael Lofton too in an
Have
episode
you?
where I thought, if I got elected Pope, it would be over for everybody. I would probably be a tyrant. So it's probably best that I don't become the Pope, but I would fix the liturgy wars.
What would you do?
Right?
How would you fix it?
What I would do is I would go to the pastor of St. Paul Catholic Church in Omaha, Nebraska, and I would say, I'm appointing you to be in charge of the liturgy in the United States, and everyone's going to do what you say. And so the Novus Ordo would look like how it looks at his parish,
But I mean, that's one country, even if that was successful, because a lot of the Novus Ordos here look like they do everywhere else in the world. So I know you said about this lack of oversight in America, but I mean, Australia, everywhere you go, you have these sloppy liturgies.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, all right. So you would maintain the Novus Ordo.
I would at least go back to what the rubrics called for. And maybe that pastor, whatever his name is, maybe I'd make him in charge of just everything in the West as far as the liturgy. I'd let him put his team together, of people that would, just do it right. Really what it is, I want to unite, the TLM, the Novus Ordo kind of.
Well, would you lift the motu proprio?
I would, start with that because that's obviously a stumbling block for people. So what I want to do is get rid of the unnecessary stumbling blocks.
That restrict the Latin Mass.
The Latin Mass, and then I would, just start fixing the things that need to get fixed.
Yeah. You know what's difficult for me is the fact that we have different calendars. I find that hard. And we have different feast days.
With the 62 calendar and the
Yeah. That's like that, and I'm not saying it's not okay. It just sometimes feels like we're part of different churches. So the readings,
right?
I don't think a dyed-in-the-wool trad would be open to this, but I'd like them at least to entertain the possibility that for the traditional Latin Mass to continue, it would need to incorporate the new calendar and the new readings.
Yes, that's exactly what I said when I was with Michael Lofton. I said I would keep the TLM then, with the option to do it in the vernacular if people wanted it in the vernacular, but you could also, Latin would be essential for certain parts. The TLM with the Novus Ordo lectionary and the Novus Ordo calendar, and I feel like that's a good way to kind of make everybody happy.
I think you'd piss everybody off. You wouldn't piss the Novus Ordo off, and
right.
you'd be open to but well, that's what's so difficult when you start identifying as trad and you really ensconce yourself in that corner. There's nothing that will actually.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I like that.
And then I would excommunicate all of the public figures that dissent from the teachings of the church. They'd all be out. Discipline the rad trads that, not excommunicate them, but discipline them and say, hey, like, I would have all of the Catholic content creators, I would say that they need to make a profession of faith on their channels and platforms. The profession of faith from Vatican II, they need to say that Vatican II was an ecumenical council, that it's authoritative, and that all of the popes from, Vatican II onward have been valid popes, and then we can just continue as normal and you can keep sharing the traditional Catholic faith. But we got to make sure that we have these housekeeping things in order.
All right, so let's say you make this statement and Taylor Marshall comes on and says, respectfully, Holy Father, I cannot affirm this.
Right.
What do you do as the Pope?
Then I would say, look, if you look at this canon of the Catholic Church, you have just automatically excommunicated yourself. And I would tell them, repent. And if you don't, then I will have to ratify this automatic excommunication.
Yeah, it's interesting how with this new, say, election in the US, there's been more seriousness placed on social media influencers and podcasts because they realize you guys have got to check out 7 Weeks Coffee. They are pro-life, mold-free, organic. The coffee is delicious. Go to 7weekscoffee.com. Click the link in the description. And also down there, you'll figure out how you can save 25% off your first order. 7weekscoffee.com. People aren't listening to CNN unless they're in the dentist's office or Fox News even.
Yep.
So that's interesting. I wonder if we will get to a point where a pope has to start addressing the new media.
I would do it.
And probably through their own bishops, I would think, right? You wouldn't want to circumvent the bishop, but as pope, since you're pope, you'd want to speak to the bishop of my bishop to rein me in, Taylor's bishop if he needed reining in, or etc., Lofton, whoever.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I would do it. The ordinaries would do it. So you take a profession of faith of Vatican II, affirm it as a council, affirm all of the popes since then, and then you can just continue as normal, but just stop bad-mouthing the council and the popes, and And don't be a TLM supremacist. Acknowledge that the Novus Ordo, and don't worry, I'm going to fix the Novus Ordo too. Okay, we're going to get it all fixed up. We're going to meet everyone's needs, but we all got to play nice, and we all got to make sure that we're respecting each other, respect all the other rights, and respect the authority of the church, please.
Yeah. Yeah, something has to happen. It feels like, because we all understand how things unravel on the liberal side, right? But we don't often take seriously how things are unraveling on the conservative side. Or if you do point to it and go, this seems like it's unraveling over here, fellas, you get accused of not taking what's happening on the left seriously. And I think that's a legitimate criticism if all you're doing is attacking the conservatives.
Right, yeah.
But if you're not, then you really have to be attentive to, okay, like how is the devil getting in our camp here, making us holier than thou, etc.
That's why I would fix everything on the left first. That has to happen first. So I would ban, I would allow the Latin Mass to be, any priest would be able to do the TLM. Right? I would allow any priest to have the faculties to do that. I would excommunicate all of the politicians that are not Catholic, right? That claim to be Catholic, but they don't follow the teachings of the church. Excommunicate them. Let it be known. I would fix the liturgy first. I'd fix all of these things first. That way everyone can see that everything is getting fixed. And then I would tell the conservatives, okay, conservatives, we fixed everything and it's good, but now it's your turn to... Yeah. Well, you say that Vatican II is valid, and the popes have all been legitimate popes, and if you don't, you don't get to experience all of these beautiful things that we just fixed. So that's how I would do it. But you have to fix the problems on the left first.
Feel free to either slide that or throw it off. Yeah, you're fine. Whatever.
Getting animated. All this coffee's got me. Yeah. All this coffee on the empty stomach.
Leave it. Just leave it.
Sorry about that.
That's fine. I like that. Now, I think okay. So, but I think a big part of your pontificate. I love that we're just doing a deep dive into your.
I know.
Theoretical pontificate, is that it's how you act. It's not just what you implement, but how you celebrate liturgy, right? So so presumably you're celebrating Ad Orientem.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Absolutely. Ad Orientem.
Because I know really good priests.
Yeah.
And they're just afraid, and I don't blame them for being afraid.
To try it.
They're afraid to celebrate Ad Orientem because they don't want to be thought of as a rabble-rouser. Yeah. They don't want to be slapped on the wrist and then suppressed, and then the good work that they're trying to do within this parish gets, Right. And I think some of them are even afraid to ask permission of the bishop lest they be put in that category. So I think to have the Pope be like, no, you can celebrate without your bishop's permission.
Yep.
And I encourage you to celebrate Ad Orientem.
Yep.
It was clearly a mistake to face the people. We're acknowledging it.
Yep.
Even better if you get rid of the second altar and use the primary one.
Yep.
Clearly.
Exactly.
Clearly.
That's what I would do. And also, not only that, I would also have to either, discipline the people that need to be disciplined within the church, clergy. Probably remove some cardinals, make some, Bishop Barron, he's a cardinal. I'd make him a cardinal right off the bat. Bishop Barron would become a cardinal.
Would he have more influence as a cardinal?
He would.
I just don't want to remove people. I don't. You know how they talk about promoting people into obscurity?
Yeah.
I want Barron where he can make the most impact.
Oh, yeah. I would make him a cardinal, and he could still continue as he is, still do his thing. I would help whatever he needs for his ministry, help him.
Yeah,
he'd be the guy.
Are you afraid that you're too focused on America? Because you've said nothing about every other country in the world.
Well, I'm not too sure what's going on in the other. I have to figure out what's going on in the other countries first, and then I will address everybody. I promise.
No, but I know other countries get upset about America, but it's just a fact. You know how they say America gets or coughs and everyone gets a cold, the whole world gets a cold.
Right.
It's also true in regards to influence.
Right.
It's just true. And America should stop apologizing for the influence they have in the rest of the world. When I'm in Australia talking to people, they say, I came back to the faith because of Bishop Barron, because of Father Mike Schmidt, because of Trent Horn, right?
Of course.
Praise the good Lord Jesus.
Yeah.
So I think if you did make a lot of gains in the United States of America, that would go a long way for the rest of the English-speaking world at least, and then you would know who to trust in those other countries to elevate them and to implement.
Yes.
I'd like you to be the next pope.
Thank you.
I just decided.
I would promote good people. I would give you a position. You would be like you'd be like the official spokesperson
Could my kids come and rollerblade in the Vatican halls?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
I'd like that.
Yes.
I think that'd be a cool place to rollerblade. Not in any sacred space, you understand.
Oh, yeah.
Just the nice marble floors.
Yeah, of course. Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
G'day guys, I hope you enjoyed that clip with Alex from Voice of Reason. Do me a favor before you go, you already know what I'm going to say. Click like, click subscribe. Thanks so much.